Every few years, I rewatch Firefly, a space western that began with so much potential, only to be cut down in its first season before its story could really begin. A few years later, we did get a hyper-condensed conclusion in the form of the movie Serenity, but I can't help thinking of the wasted potential. Also, that Serenity's ending doesn't work anymore, but we'll get there. Firefly is heavily influenced by the mythology of the American West. It presents us with a curious mix of an Old West frontier culture and a techno-future urban society. And even more so than with Star Wars, for example, we as viewers root for the rebels, the independents, while most of us in our real lives more closely resemble the citizens of the Empire, the Alliance, the hegemonic power keeping the uncouth rebel types under heel. Firefly captures the divergence between our national mythology and our modern reality, even more today than when it first aired almost 20 years ago. So quick backstory. Humanity now inhabits a star system with a ridiculous number of planets in its habitable zone. Years before, the poor outer planets fought a war for independence against the Alliance, run by the wealthy inner planets.
6 years today, the Alliance sent the brown coats running, pissing their pants.
And the Alliance has been doing shady techno-authoritarian stuff ever since. It's pretty much what you'd expect from a government that's a merger between modern America and communist China. The Alliance is remarkably familiar. While it has some of the space Nazi elements, it's overall just a corrupt and intrusive faux republic that appears to be run by oligarchs and a managerial class of deep state types.
We tell them what to do, what to think. Don't run, don't walk. We're in their homes and in their heads, and we haven't the right.
It's not an oppressive totalitarian regime so much as just a sanctimonious and corrupt nanny state with a well-fed military-industrial complex.
We're not telling people what to think. We're just trying to show them how.
We can gain some insight into the underlying assumptions of a government by how it memorializes its wars. The Alliance defeated the Independents in the Unification War.
Unification Day!
This has obvious parallels with the American Civil War, fought to preserve the Union, not to defeat an external threat, not to defend from aggression, not even a moral crusade to free the slaves. Preserve the Union. You can't leave. We won't let you. While Joss Whedon has stated that he had the Civil War in mind when he was creating the show, in part playing off the idea of the lost cause, today it also suggests some parallels with the Taiwan situation, another unification war waiting to happen.
Hey, I didn't fight no war. Best of luck, though.
America's founders, Firefly's browncoats, the Confederacy, even some modern Americans, both left and right, have something in common. They want to go their own way and live without a meddlesome and distant authority. It's part of who we are as a people. But the lesson of the War for Independence and the Civil War is clear. No one will be allowed to leave without a bloody awful mess. Firefly's independents lost their war. The show's heroes are unreconstructed rebels. The independents are an echo of what we were. The Alliance is a reflection of what we are. The Alliance has many dark secrets. To protect them, they have the operatives, highly skilled assassins who ensure that those secrets are kept.
Secrets are not my concern. Keeping them is.
One of these secrets was a shady op that involved adding a drug to the terraforming mix on one of the planets to make the colonists more peaceful, less excitable. This has precedent. The American MKUltra program drugged citizens without their knowledge or consent on numerous occasions. One of the policy suggestions that came out of that program was a proposal to add mild sedatives to the water supply to reduce social instability. Just a few years ago, a group of scientists in the UK proposed adding lithium to the water on the grounds that it acts as an antidepressant and will reduce suicides. Several studies have already found disturbingly high levels of antidepressants in tap water as is. In short, a government adding mind-altering drugs to the air to keep the people mellow isn't that far-fetched. For the Alliance, it failed spectacularly. About 99% of people exposed got so mellow that they just laid down and died. That 1%, though, they turned into reavers. Psychotic space orcs taking their clanky hoopty ships on a multi-planet murder spree. Naturally, the government wants to keep this quiet. They just delete the name of the planet from all public records and pretend Reavers are a crazy story cooked up by those wacky outer planet settlers.
Where does that get from?
But corrupt governments can't hide the truth forever. The film climaxes with the big damn heroes broadcasting proof of the nefarious government's misdeeds to every planet in the Alliance.
The G23 Paxilon hydrochloride that we added to the air processors. It was supposed to calm the population.
Your broadwave about Miranda has weakened their regime, but they are not gone, and they are not forgiving.
It was a good ending 20 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore. Which begs the question, how would a believable conclusion look if Serenity were made today? The population of the couple dozen worlds of the Alliance see the video of one of their scientists explaining how they killed the whole colony and also made Reavers, before said scientist is torn apart by knife-wielding cannibals. Millions of people are outraged and demand the criminals in government answer for the atrocity. Of course, most of them favored independence, and let's be honest, they didn't need this evidence to despise the Alliance. It just reinforces what they believe anyway. The government, through a compliant media, would declare the whole thing a conspiracy theory, and half the population would believe that the video was a deepfake made by terrorists, and agree that tougher measures need to be taken against this kind of dangerous misinformation. The evidence doesn't change anyone's mind. It's seen in the context of pre-existing biases. Serenity is one of those instances where we can see the strata of cultural change. Firefly's writers grew up during the era of Watergate and the Pentagon Papers, Iran-Contra, major scandals where government malfeasance was made public and people were held accountable, at least symbolically. The assumptions behind Serenity are from that era. While the Alliance is just as corrupt and mendacious as either the US federal government or the Communist Party of China, unlike those two entities, the Alliance still seems to have some shame. When caught in a lie, they squirm instead of doubling down on it. We see it explicitly with the operative, cold, calculating professional, and absolutely certain of the rightness of his cause, until confronted with the raw truth.
But I think they know I'm no longer their man.
Serenity presumes a world where people think like scientists. Start with data, theorize based on the data, test theory against more data. But overall, we tend to think and argue more like lawyers or advertisers. Begin with a conclusion and then selectively pick data to support that conclusion. It's a good way to send someone to prison or sell toothpaste, but it's terrible for arriving at truth. Rewatching Firefly and Serenity now, the series feels depressingly utopian as it ages. The Alliance, a chimera forged from America's neoliberal establishment in communist China, starts to feel like an improvement over our present state of affairs. It's marginally more competent and has just enough integrity to understand a need to hide its horrible misdeeds. It's a low bar, but we're looking up at it. Well, that sounds like jet engines. Apparently they can take the sky from me.